our third mini presenter is Bud Turner, Josain Zsun in Second Life, and he's going to speak about our persistent digital footprint in his presentation, What Happens When You Can No Longer Log In.
Thank you. Hopefully everybody can hear me.
Yes.
Good, thank you. Well, like it says, Sky's talk kind of leads right into mine because I've been doing trusted friend talks for about 6 months now. And probably need to get the speakeasy started because you're probably going to have to be doing some fast reading to keep up. And there's no longer a word cloud. Usually I read this. Maybe I can still do that if I can read fast enough. I hope this discussion will resonate with you and we will all benefit from this idea. This talk is not intended as a lecture, rather it's a discussion which usually lasts about 30 to 90 minutes after the presentation is over. But the idea is still for people to think about it and possibly even start approaching our providers regarding the intellectual property that we're creating on their servers, and they are taking the position that they own it. So how did I get here? I actually fell through the ISTE website onto ISTE headquarters, or the ISTE estate, back in about 10 years ago. I actually hung out there for the first summer, just trying to figure out how it all of it worked there. Actually, the tower there between the two flags, I used to hide my avatar there so that nobody would mess with it while I wasn't logged in. My second week there, Thunder and Scipio, one of the docents, took me to Second Life Botanical Gardens, and I was awed with what I saw. Sharing the experience with a group hanging out there in front of the headquarters, another avatar invited me on a weekly Thursday tour that he hosted. Each tour amazed me. I saw awesome and beautiful Second Life builds on various different sims. I friended the tour guide, Cyrus Hutch, real life Matthew Poole, and began a most fun and informative relationship. We toured and explored together and shared sims discovered on our own. And here is Cyrus in one of the Expedition Central. He actually built about a half dozen Expedition Centrals around in Second Life for people to go to click on the various links there to go places that we had been exploring. He was much better organized than me about exploration, so he took good snapshots and saved landmarks that then he applied to the landmark giver plaques that are in in Expedition Central. Every time I visited one of the sites, I was overwhelmed with the number of landmarks Cyrus had put into the build. This is a view of one of those, the interior of one of those sites. In June of 2016, I was saddened to learn of Cyrus's sudden passing. I attended memorials in several communities. Let's see. Wow, WAG's getting to me. This was the memorial on Vista Island, where they later built a memorial Teachers Resource Center, which Cyrus's landmarks were moved into. This is a memorial that still stands in Chobo for past members of that community. And here's the Vista Expedition Central Teacher Resources Building, one of the two remaining Expedition Centrals now. Since then, and this is the one in Chobo, the other remaining Expedition Central. I've since then learned of other unexpected passings with Second Life losses. See if the SPLO light is gone. SPLO slide. So I started exploring solo again, but it just wasn't as much fun. Last summer, I sought the Expedition Central sites and learned that several, now only two existed. And they were all growing very much out of date. In the 60s, Grace Slick sang, "Life is change, how it differs from the rocks." And we know that that's true here in Second Life on a daily basis. And there's a out-of-sequence picture of Matthew. He made everything in the EC sites. No one can modify, delete, or move them. So how would I update and replace the out-of-date sites plaques? Well, fortunately, a close friend of Cyrus's. Yeah, well, that's what happens in a rush. She shared permissions that Cyrus had given her, and we did a lot of experimenting trying to work around these issues. And yeah, we're still out of sync. We'll see where we go on the talk here. After testing all the plaques, I began collecting new or replacement landmarks, making newly labeled snapshots and uploading them. I then made masks to res just in front of the ones no longer valid or accurate within the CE sites. This involved a lot of edit time and upload expense in and out of Second Life. It also increased the prim count on the sites. And Cyrus was just one of several accomplished Second Life and other social media friends that I've lost over the past 10 years. Daily other social media lament the loss of active contributors and participants. We have lost their art, their builds, and their philosophies. I'm certain everyone present can say the same regarding lost friends in and out of Second Life. I'm going to skip over the news, but basically that previous slide talked about a cryptocurrency CEO whose untimely death last December basically orphaned about $145 million in or pounds in cryptocurrency. And that's because the funds are stored separately on a laptop, and the wife nobody had the passwords to get into it. Actually, not long after that, another 90 million was inadvertently saved there. I wish I could afford to lose 90 million. We've traditionally been able to save past great works in libraries, archives, and museums. Now, with so much creativity occurring digitally, we need ways to capture and pass that along. It may be on the internet but forever, but it may be degraded, plagiarized, or lost. I have several friends that shared their account information with someone else that they trusted, which reminds me, this blue box that I'm sitting on is a note card giver, and if you would touch it and get the note card, it's a resource card with a lot of backup information and sources for you. One is actually an article by Joe Yardley, who she actually did this on her blog a couple of years ago, expressing the same issues. She had an issue, had a suggestion, and she's actually done this on her profile. She added an emergency contacts to her pics. She asked Linden Lab if they would add another tab for us to be able to do that, and I think that would be a good idea. It's a good first step in planning ahead for when you can no longer log in and somebody can step in. Thank you, Elise. So I'm basically have come up with a workaround to keep the two EC sites going. I've done that on my own account. But the warning that's going to come up is basically, oh yeah, here's the CVL nonprofit resource library that's in non-profit commons SIM, where they're storing more stuff. The warning is just sharing your information with someone else is a good idea, but you probably need to put it into a will or some sort of an agreement with whoever the providers are. A good friend of mine who runs a training sim here, one of her teachers had accumulated Linden's in the 6, I think almost 7-digit range, and he was going to donate them all. He died suddenly. She had his login information. As soon as she logged in, she was banned, and it took litigation for her to be allowed back into Second Life. Of course, you can guess who got to keep all the money. And so that's a quick rush through it. I'm surprised I actually got through it in the amount of time that I did. We do have a few minutes. Hopefully it's caused you to think about it. Hopefully that note card will give you not only resources, but more things to think about. Thank you very much.